G'day folks. Well, I'm finally got the tools that I need to do the job. Today I went into town and picked up some bearings. Now I've got 4 sets of bloody bearings at the minute. Oh God, I've just gone crazy on it all. But I've wanted to learn, guys. I've just got to dive in deep with it and take it on. And it's my responsibility. That's what I've realised, come to the realisation, folks. I just can't rely on anyone but myself. Now that I've purchased a beautiful little Sid Chrome micrometer, and I've got it's like a telescopic, what would you call it? They call it a telescopic gauge set. All this is doing is giving me a set point on the inside of my conrods. Well, whatever I'm measuring on the inside. And the micrometer actually reads the measurement, and I can sort of work out my clearances that way. It's not that hard to use, actually. The only trouble is it's in bloody millimetres. I'm so used to thous, or the old imperial when it comes to clearances, but not all's lost because I'm using my feeler gauge as my conversion. So, all right, we know that the these ACL race bearings that I put in there, or they supplied me with, are a thou clearance. That's all I've got with the plastic gauge. Okay, I'm sort of shooting around 2.5, sort of max 3. That's my sort of goal that I want for my conrods. Anyway, we put them in on the plastic gauge and I checked it, and they were way too tight. It was ridiculous. So what I've gone and done, guys, I've taken this piston back out and I've put a Federal Mogul standard bearing in to this rod and torqued it up, and I've just mic'd the crank, and I've done a quick check on the inside of this bearing, and then I've converted it back across here, and I've count the numbers. So we've had 47, which that's what I mic'd the crank at. And now when I've checked on the inside of the rod journal, we've got, this is not set, but what it was there. I've checked it 3 or 4 times. So we've got 7 increments, which is it's 0.07. Now 0.08 is 3 thou. So basically I've only really, even with the standard bearings in, I've only got 1.5 thou clearance at best. So even with the standard ones, it's not really that acceptable. So not all's lost, guys. I've got another 2 sets. I've got 4 sets of bloody rod bearings now. But we've got a different brand, or we're going back to the ACL race series. We've got a standard set, and we've got another set which they call them HX. Now I've been told these ones are 1 thou minus. So we're going to gain 1 thou more clearance. So, and some of you guys commented that you can swap bearings out. Say if I want to pick up 0.5 thousandths, I can say run one of the standards and put one of these in, and that'll give me a 0.5 thou increment if I need to. So my plan is now, guys, I'm going to drop all the pistons back out of it, and I'm going to mic the crank and write all the numbers down as I go through, because they'll be they may all be sort of 0.1 or 2 off this number here. And I'll go through, write it all down. Then I will set up a bearing in each one and mic it. And like I said, I'm sort of shooting for 2.5 to 3 thousandths. So I can play with it now, guys, and get the final measurements that I require. Once I assemble it, I'll put the old plasti gauge on, just to double check that I never made any boo-boos, or that sort of comes within half a thou. But the funny thing was, when I did this one, it actually read 2 thousandths. So it's mic'd up to 1.5 thou. So there is a little bit of variance with the plasti gauge, which is quite interesting actually. I've really been pedantic on measuring this. I've took my time. I know that you've got to really sort of get it right, centered up, and take your time, and not to have too much pressure on it. It's actually got a little spring. It's actually got a little spring in there, so you sort of can't over tighten it. But you know, like I said, I've got it within. Oh well, when I remeasured it again, it was always within half of between 4 and 5, so I've got it pretty close. Yeah. Another interesting note to make too, guys. I learnt something from a machinist. This is interesting. These not race bearings, but even these Federal Moguls, when you sort of check it this way, just for example, it's nice and snug, but then you come around this way, and the machinist said there'll be a thou or 2 more clearance sideways like that. So when the revs increase on your engine, you'll get a little bit of stretch this way with the, I think it's mainly probably in the bottom cap here. It'll pull away and it sort of evens itself up as the bigger revs increase. And that was his theory on the yeah, because I put it in there and look, there's a little bit of movement in there. Yeah, only 1 thou. Oh, it might even be 1.5 thou sort of thing. I haven't sort of measured it, but there is a little bit of movement there. But we do our measurements tops and bottoms. So what a great little investment this thing is. So I'll be able to now mic it within the sort of, well, basically within the half, if not even tighter tolerances. I can really sort of hone in on it and get it within spec. I'm sort of targeting, like I said, 2.5 to 3 thousandths. That's my sort of range, and I reckon I can achieve that now with my mic. And it's going to take a bit of time, but that's what it takes, guys. If I'd have put that engine together and didn't check before with basically 1 thou clearance, if that, it wouldn't have lasted long. It would have spun a bearing, and that would have been the end of that, a complete catastrophe. So for the sake of, $350 for the micrometer little kit that I got, and the little telescopic gauge set, yeah, it's great investment. It sort of just ensures that my clearances are right, especially for my mains and my conrods, and ensure that no mistakes are made, guys. And that's what it's about. All right, folks, so when I've got this sort of all clearanced up, I'll write it all down and see what my clearances are, and I'll let you know on that one, and we'll go from there, guys. But, oh, geez, I'm excited. I'm pushing myself on this one now, guys. I've got to take ownership and responsibility and do it right. I'm not joking around anymore, guys, when it comes to this sort of stuff, because it gets so expensive when you start taking unnecessary risks, and at the end of the day, if you can do it all yourself, well, you do save a bit of money. It's surprising, and it's so satisfying, guys. It really is. All right, guys, well, I hope you're enjoying this. This is a little hiccup, but it's all good because it's expanding my knowledge big time, and I'm absolutely loving it. All right, folks, I'll pop one up soon. Catch you later.